Good evening and welcome to the Town of Selma Appearance Commission meeting for March 16th, 2026. We are in the Jernigan building. It is 6 o'clock and we are ready to call this meeting to order. First thing we need to do is approve our agenda. So if y'all would look over our agenda, I will need a motion and a second to approve.
A motion to approve? A second.
A motion by McCoy and a second by Ms. Rayner. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, next we have our consent agenda, which includes our minutes from February 18th, 2026. So I will need a motion and a second to approve our consent agenda.
I motion.
I'll second. Motion by Ms. Rayner and a second by Ms. Gaskell. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, now we have our historic preservation, old business, West Selma Historic District map amendments. Hi, Taylor.
Hey, just bringing it back before you with some edits I made from our last conversation and emails about adding some of the other places that were recommended in surrounding areas. And I know that you didn't have time to look ahead of time, but if you have any questions or in the future for future changes that you would like to make, I know it's a work in progress. That's not the final draft that I have.
Thank you for all this information. So I was taking a tour of everything, and Rayford Street is the border that separates West Selma from East Selma. And I think it'd be great if we can really look at, we have our West Selma Historic District, but looking at creating an East Selma Historic District along, and I know we talked about this before with Mrs. Lacey, a South Selma Historic District. I think Rayford Street would be a great borderline to determine which one is west versus which one is east. If y'all want to look at my chicken scratch on my, well, that's even better. On my map, like, for example, the Civic Center is not included in the downtown Selma Historic District. There's a few other plots of land that are residents that we've included the top three, but then we've skipped over one that would qualify as a historic site. So I just wanted to ask a couple questions. One, how aggressive do we want to be as far as creating these districts? For example, when we look at going down Anderson Street because we've looked at 702, and then we've also looked at 707, 801, and possibly 706. How far down Anderson Street do you want to go? I know Taylor had brought back some information about making sure that we're not cherry picking, really kind of making,
Congruent.
yes, thank you. I was like, I'm losing my words. But just making sure that we have a full, district and not just a little bit here, a little bit here, and a little bit there. So how far down Anderson Street do we want to go? How far, above Richardson Street do we want to go when we're talking about the West Selma Historic District and possibly an East Selma Historic District? You guys are welcome to look at my map. If that helps anybody.
What about the Cotton Mill?
Yeah,
Is that
I was
included?
gonna say all the way down there.
Currently, no. Right now, it's not. But then looking at, okay, if we're going to go that far down Anderson Street, all the homes that we would include that are not historic, because there's been a lot of rebuilds on Anderson Street where they've torn down the original home and then rebuilt. So it's like, how far down do you want to go? And I don't think, now that I say this out loud, the Cotton Mill is included in the town of Selma limits, town limits, yeah. So we wouldn't even be able to have that as historic, would we? If it's not in the town limits?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a question.
Then maybe we need to go past the block that in Edgerton's on.
Well, right now it goes all the way down to Brevard.
Brevard.
Right now it includes
Well,
everything
that's true.
down to Brevard. But if some of these homes that we've started looking at go past Brevard, So it's like, how far down Anderson Street do we want to go? And then that brings me back to the question, how aggressive do we want to be with updating our historic maps?
Now that you bring up that question, now I want to take another two and really, really look. Now that we kind of want to separate east, west, and possibly south,
Mm-hmm.
and really differentiate that, and you know, put up signs and things to signify those changes, I really want to take another look. Actually,
Okay.
What if the people that own the houses don't want to have a historic house? Because, you know, the rules when it comes to a historic house, things you can and can't do on the outside. What if they don't want to?
Do you have an answer to
Valid
that one, Dawn?
question. I thought
What
about
is it,
that
question?
too.
One thing I do know is that this would follow a very similar procedure to a map amendment, so it would initially or eventually have notices that go to the property owners and surrounding property owners before it goes to council for approval. And then that would just follow a legislative public hearing from that point, but technically it would not have a notice until it goes before a town council for approval, unless you guys would direct otherwise.
So the process would be, once we come up with a good map for each of the districts that we're discussing, we would make that recommendation to council. And then notices would be given to the addresses that we've included in that map.
Yes, ma'am, it would go straight to the planning board from the appearance commission, and then
Mhm.
once the planning board makes a recommendation, staff would prepare the notices before it goes to council.
And do you just skip over the newer ones you were talking about, if they happen to be in that?
So you could, but based on what Taylor has told us that, Taylor, who is it that you communicate with, their official name?
Yeah, I don't know their name, but it was the North Carolina Department of Cultural Resources Historic Preservation
I
Group.
believe her name is Christy.
Christy
Brandt.
Christy
Brantley.
Brantley, yeah.
Wouldn't they be non-contributing?
So her suggestion was, when we're looking at, including additional homes in, making sure that it's not, you know, we're pulling this part, then we're coming back in here, and then we're coming back out here, and then we're pulling this in, you know, and skipping over houses is not encouraged. So,
They would just become non-contributing houses.
like, for example, when you're going down, when you're going down Rayford Street, okay, and you go past the post office, the post office is on your right, and as you cross over Elizabeth Street, there are two brand-new homes that have
Yes.
just been built. So that would be something that you would skip. But then everything above that, all the way up into Griswold Street, could potentially be historic. So, having that conversation. I think for something like that, it could potentially work, just because Rayford Street could be the dividing line. You'd have your East Selma and you'd have your West Selma. And there's a couple places that are on the border that are not included, like the post office. We can talk about including that versus not including that. When you look at for West, Family Dollar is not included, so it's, you know, out on the border. So, things like that.
I'm sure the post office qualifies.
Hmm?
I'm sure the post office qualifies.
Oh, absolutely, I'm sure. What did you say?
This sounds like a trip to.
yes, it sounds like another trip for me
All right. Sounds good.
because it all makes sense. But now I need to see
Just
it again.
visual. I know, that's what I had to do today. I'm like, I need to put eyes on this and go through and just check everything off my map. Okay, sounds cool. We can do that. Anything else as far as that's concerned?
Sure.
Thank you, Taylor. All right, so we'll table this to our next meeting, and hopefully, when we come back, the next time we can have some,
Yes.
you know, solid recommendations to send to planning. Next, we have new business. We have a request for a certificate of appropriateness for 106 South Rayford Street. Take it away, Tim. Oh, wait, you, Mr. Wilbur, have to swear everybody in, and while you get
We'll need a
ready.
motion to open the quasi judicial hearing first.
Sorry. Motion to open the quasi judicial hearing.
I motion.
A motion by Ms. Rayner and a second by Ms. Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Take it away, Mr. Wilbur.
Anyone talking, if you want to state your name for the record.
Fulton Stanley, 116 Briarwood Drive, Selma, North Carolina. Outside of town.
Ron Hester, 908 Dixie Drive in Selma.
And then I'll swear you all in real quick. Do you affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And we'll go to the town.
So we have before you an approval of a certificate of appropriateness to add a 12 by 20 accessory structure that is in gazebo type style. It is going to be unpainted wood for the columns and flooring and even the roof, but it will have a tin roof on top. And this is a 0.53 acre property that is currently owned by Barbetta LLC, and the applicant Ron Hester is here today. This is at 106 South Rayford Street. I ask the commission to motion to accept all testimony and evidence into the record, to authorize the presiding officer to sign the final order, and then a motion to approve or deny. Staff find this consistent with the historic district. I also ask that my staff report and supporting documents be entered into evidence as testimony. We also have them to provide more details on where it's going to be located and how it's going to face. If you have any questions, let me know.
Hey, Mr. Stanley. The way I'm looking at this is gonna be a stage.
Pretty much, a gazebo, off the ground.
Mhm.
But it's, it's gonna be there for things that they do in the park
Mhm.
for whatever use.
And where in the park will it be situated?
It'll be at the back, if you're standing on Rayford Street,
Mhm.
it'll be at the back of the property,
Mhm.
as you can see in the pictures. It'll be at the back. There is
Like an alleyway towards the back?
alleyway back there. It'll be off the alleyway
Mhm.
and then facing where we're looking at right now, it'll be facing Rayford Street.
About 8 to 10 feet off the alley.
Yeah.
Will the backside be closed or? will it
No,
just
it'll be
open
all
breezeway?
open. The only thing that'll be closed is around the top. And that will be vinyl around the top with a tin roof.
You said vinyl?
I think that's what we're talking about, or we're opening it up. Wood.
Wood, okay. So just wood and tin is what's being used to
Right.
build, okay. Any other questions for Mr. Stanley or Mr. Mister?
No questions from me. Is it for anybody to use?
Use it on somebody's there, they just anybody can use it. We have a few small planners put out there and just have some music in it. We have some children's events. I mean, that's what the Whisper bench out there and a few other things, but it's really, it's a public park. I don't care who uses it. That's what I think, so just kind of honor my mom and dad.
Do you plan on having any signage, to honor them?
Well, I talked about, originally, Mr. Ken sitting next door, I asked if we could paint something, just put up there and honor them, and he said yes, and then later he said, well, I'd like ready to put on a piece of wood, and right now, it's got Hester in the stone across, my guy who works for me did that, I didn't know he was gonna do it. Right now, I'm not planning on putting anything up there, it says Art Out Loud, we have a little sign, that says Art Out Loud Park. It was just a grown-up something, but it was a building there at one time, Duncan Bracey's, my dad tore it down when he built the veterinarian office. And so it's a lot of grass thing, I just want to put something where, people could use it. And people, restaurants, they go over there and sit and eat outside.
I'm good to go.
I just want to see if they've seen it.
Christmas trees won't be there.
It's Christmas here.
Christmas year round.
I was supposed to say, it's Christmas here.
Good with that.
All right, do I have a motion to close the quasi judicial hearing for 106 South Raper Street?
Motion.
I second.
So you, motion by Ms. Gaskell and a second by Ms. Rayner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you both very much for being here.
Need a motion to enter all testimony and exhibits into evidence.
All right, do I have a motion to enter all the testimonies and evidence?
A motion. I second.
Motion by Ms. Smith and a second by Ms. Rayner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Discussion.
No discussion for me. I like that it's public and anybody can use it as kind of first come, first served type basis, and just so that we allow for more traffic, walking traffic, and possibly performances and things like that be around town and stay in town a little bit longer.
All right, so I'm gonna go through the Historic Preservation Commission findings and fact considerations. So number one, is the property and proposed work subject to historic preservation standards? Yes, that's all the way around, all right. Is the proposed change consistent or inconsistent with the congruency of the district's special character? I would say it's inconsistent. Are the materials proposed compatible with historic materials in type, texture, color, durability? I would say yes, because it is just wood and tin.
Plain wood.
And is the decision based on competent material and substantial evidence presented during the hearing? Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for 106 South Rayford Street?
I motion. I second.
Motion by, we'll give that to Ms. Rayner. Motion by Ms. Rayner and a second by Dr. McCoy. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then I need a motion to give me authorization to sign the final order.
I second.
Motion by Ms. Smith and a second by Ms. Rayner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, next we have railroad flower beds. So, this is just, I guess, some information to help lead our discussion about the size, the shape, of what we want our flower beds to look like. I'm gonna leave it to my ladies that know a lot about gardening
Yeah.
for the suggestions.
We need the pictures that we looked at last month.
Mm-hmm.
Did we decide not to build the high wall because we were afraid that people would sit on it? And,
No decisions have been made. I think that was the discussion for sure.
Yeah.
Was that the high walls would encourage people to sit right on the railroad tracks.
and that's
Yeah, I
not.
like the higher walls. I didn't like the rocks because, of course, we're gonna take care of it, but it would, the overgrowth possibly would take away from.
Oh, I know all about rocks.
I do think, because you had said that we could get our hands on some railroad tiles.
Railroad cross ties and
Mhm.
rear, what it is a road tracks. We can get our hands on several of those.
Mhm.
Just in my head, we'll do that, y'all want to. They're approximately 8 foot long. I don't think they're exactly, but they're 8 foot. But, we're talking about maybe 3 by 2, 2 in the ends, 3 wide,
Mhm.
2 wide, 3 long. That'd be, about 20 or so foot approximately. 20 feet.
Mhm.
One way we could drop that down to 2 and 1, get them that big.
Mhm.
The one high, they're about 12 inches tall.
Yep.
So you could do a pretty good sized deep bed, get you a layer of topsoil, what have you, and maybe some bark or something. If you've been to Memorial Gardens, Memorial Gardens at the front, they did some 2 years ago. I don't know the proper name, I call it butterfly bushes, where it's put with monarch. They did them probably just, like I said, temperature small. They look very, very good. It's that bloom. They bloom pretty good and stay. Bloom pretty much all the time except at the end. They've got about, they're put in probably about this tall, they're probably about like, yeah, so. we're gonna have to keep them clean back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you know, we can add some filler
Mm-hmm.
every other side. That's like my wife goes to do, so.
Yeah, I don't do flowers.
There'll be no trees. We're just gonna plant bushes and
Yeah,
flowers.
what was that, Greg? Greg, you go so high,
I saw that.
36 feet.
There's the things.
Yeah, you go-
There's not much for a tree.
On page 2 of that non-standard license agreement goes into detail with all of those requirements.
Yeah, I read it, and I read it wrong, because it said no plants or landscaping material. But I didn't read far enough down how the distance it couldn't be.
In our previous discussions. Kind of getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Like say, Green Street, you had maybe one on MLK side, or on the street side, you know, sort of like this.
Right.
And opposite of where the stop sign is, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So over the next month, I will query our gardeners and get some good suggestions for what we should put there.
What day is Earth Day?
April 22nd.
Second, yeah, so that's the day we kind of want to work on this, so.
Okay.
How many railroad crossings are we doing?
We're talking about just four, I mean, not four beds, 2 at Green, 2 at Sumner. We could possibly do a couple, I think we'd have to back them up, make a little bit at Rayford. Some more walking traffic when you get up there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because the sidewalks go right up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely have to back them off, I don't think they would be quite the same. And then you got parking on the Rayford Street side, on the Railroad Street side. So you kind of be, and there's a big tree there too, so it's kind of off, kind of offset. But initially, we were talking about summer.
Yeah, to bring more, to make it look better when
Just
people
plain
come
there.
into town.
It's a little plain.
Yeah, it is.
But, something that has happened since we talked about it, we moved Fisher Station, so Webb could be, Webb could be an option. Railroad uses the left-hand side of that intersection a lot. They drive up there, they've got that rail yard, switch yard right there. So we could come where Mixer was at, maybe. This side and opposite toward, back toward Sharp. And then 3 intersections. Where y'all tell us to get, we're gonna get.
Is that something that we can just do through email? Like just have an
I
email
don't think it's
conversation?
but
Okay.
yeah, you just need to tell us to make sure. In case we have to.
Mhm.
I think these locals, nurseries will have,
Mhm.
just in case.
Okay.
Because what we wanna do, we don't have to move the heavy equipment on Earth Day, you know, when we get
Right.
the beginnings going, we kill grass in there, put a mat down, put the ties in place. And that day, us as a group, we can, dirt, bark, plant.
What day y'all plan on doing that?
That's the 25th,
That following Saturday?
the 22nd.
The 22nd's on a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's the 25th is the day we were advertised. It was in the newsletter. I don't, but I'm pretty sure it was 25th.
See,
Mhm.
make sure we're coming up on 25th.
And any other projects y'all can think of, appearance wise, that we've talked about, reworking the old gateway sign.
Mhm.
Haven't do- but
Mhm.
It's still there, down here, because these are, we just cut everything back, it's kind of overgrown, but it can use for
Mhm.
any other projects, small projects, you know, be handled in a 4 or 5 hour session.
Princeton is a really nice sign coming into town. It's pretty,
You see our,
looks really nice. I noticed it at 6 o'clock this morning, so.
Thank you, Chief. Anything else before we close for the day? Get an email chain started and figure out this, project for Earth Day coming up, and then everybody get it on their calendar, Saturday, April 25th, if you're able to help with those flower beds.
Yeah, I don't know if
That's true.
I can walk. Oh.
Go to your house, right?
I know, that's right.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Well,
I've got 6 inches of leaves in my flower garden.
Oh,
Everybody
that
can
might
come
be
get
something.
that stuff
Yeah,
out.
that's,
It's your trees. They're not mine.
all right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Rayner, second by Ms. Gaskell, all